Let's suppose that I have an army of 600,000 men, and I want to move this army to another location that is 800 miles away. One of the things that I want to know is how much space will my army take up on the road? And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how much space they would take up if I marched them single file. Now I realize this is completely unrealistic to march an army single file. It's going to take an extraordinarily large amount of space. But let's just, for argumentative sake, let's do it. And I'm going to assume that each soldier needs 2 feet in front of him, just 2 feet before the soldier ahead of him. How much space would that be? Well, there's 600,000 soldiers, and they need 2 feet of space for the space in front of them. That would equal 1.2 million feet. How many miles does that equal? Well, if you divide it by 5,280, you get 227 miles of space that my 600,000-man army would take up had they been walking in single file. Again, I realize that's unrealistic, but think of the number, 227. It's a massive, massive length of space. Now, take that. Let's keep going hypothetically. Let's add that man's wife and children. Now, some of them aren't all going to have children, but let's say that many of them do. The children range in all ages from teenagers to newborns. And we're going to add that to the soldier next to him. Again, we're still in single file, but do they need more space? I think most of us would say, yes, they do. But for conservative purposes, we're just going to say no. They don't need any space. It's still only 2 feet, regardless of how many kids they have. Now, in addition to that, we're going to give each family all of their possessions that they have to carry. Everything they've ever owned, because from where they're going to a new location and leaving their home forever. If you haven't guessed by now, I am doing the hypothetical Exodus situation. If you read Exodus chapter 12 through 14, you will see this situation play out, where they're traveling on the road with 600,000 men, but it says, in addition, doesn't include their wife and children. It also says that there are many other people that go with them, although we're not really sure what that means. Is it their older relatives? Is it Egyptians? We're not sure, but there's a lot of other people that go along with the 600,000 additional, or 600,000 initial number. So we're back to our families. We're going to give them every possession they ever own. They got to carry all their clothing, all their valuables, all their pottery, all their utensils, all their farming equipment. If they were doing farm work for the Egyptians as slaves, they're carrying that all. So now they're fully encumbered. But on top of that, we're going to give them a large amount of silver and gold objects. Booty from the nation that they are leaving from. They have robbed the nation of all the silver and gold, and they're carrying that with them. Now they've got just a ton of stuff to carry. Do they still only need 2 feet in front of them? I think most of you would say no, it's going to be a lot larger, but we're going to stay conservative. We're going to just keep it 2 feet, because I want to just show this point at the most conservative part of this scenario. It's unrealistic. So we're going to keep those families in single file for now. But if you read Exodus, it says that besides the 600,000, their men and wives and children and these many other people, it says they brought droves of herds, flocks, and livestock to feed this massive group of people. Now, let's just pretend we're putting these on the sides of these people. We're still 227 miles long. If we put it in back, obviously, I'm saying single file, then we're really unrealistic, and we're probably over, who knows, 5,000 miles, whatever, each sheep or whatever. But now we've got our herds, and we can't even, and we're on this tiny little merchant road, desert road. How much space are we taking up? Because the roads of Rome that Romans built to move their troops around, we're 1,300 years away from really nice roads. This is a crappy merchant trail that's a desert road, exactly what it is. So how much space do you think we have on this road? If we put, let's take the single file line and let's put 3 families side by side. They're going to take up a lot of space. And again, I'm not even talking about the livestock. But if we just take 3 families and put them side by side, how many miles now is that road or that army length? And how much space is it taking up? 75 miles. That's with 3 families side by side with only 2 feet in front of them. Very, very conservative, and yet we get 75 miles. How about speed of travel for this monstrosity, this gathering? Well, it was said infantrymen in ancient times would travel on average 15 miles a day. Those are foot soldiers. And that's an average. They're not being pushed. But those are infantry. Those are people with stamina, with muscle tone. They're well fed. They're people who know how to fight, and they walk every single day. What about the families of slaves, malnutritioned slaves? How many miles could they walk per day with their wives and children? I think if we took half of the infantry, 7.5 miles, 7 miles per day, I think that's being generous if we say 7 miles for this army. And what we're talking about is the Bible lists, this gathering stayed in certain places for 3 days. But think about this. This line, if we were doing this line, again, our numbers are a little conservative. There's only 2 feet allowed in front of each family that's fully encumbered. But think about this. If the front of the line got to their destination is Etham, and they set up camp, it would take 10 days for the end of that line to actually reach camp. So what am I getting at? I'm going to be doing a couple videos on the Exodus account and the evidence for and the evidence against the Exodus account. Now, this evidence that I provided for you about this, that's basic, simple mathematics that show the numbers that are provided in the Exodus account are an impossibility given the way the story is given. Now, I'm not saying that the Exodus did not happen. I don't want you to think that. All I'm saying is that the evidence that we have suggests that there are flaws in the Exodus account. And I'm going to be going over the evidence for and against the Exodus account. I wanted to provide fair warning for those of people who like to believe that the Exodus is a historical account and take the Bible literally. You should probably not watch my upcoming videos. But for those of you who want an unbiased look into the evidence for and against the Exodus account from someone who's not going to give you, I'm going to give you, BS because I need you to believe that the Exodus happened, or I'm not going to give you BS because I want you to believe that the Exodus didn't happen. I want you to have the evidence so you can come up with your own conclusion. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If you're interested in that, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. But thank you for watching. Take care.